39 years ago, a movie was released that predicted almost everything happening in our world today. From mass surveillance to the manipulation of truth itself, this film saw it all coming. But here's the twist. It was based on a book written in 1948, meaning someone predicted our current reality nearly 8 decades ago. Today we're diving deep into the 1984 adaptation of George Orwell's masterpiece, 1984, exploring not just the haunting story itself, but the real-world parallels that make this film more relevant today than ever before. By the end of this video, you'll understand why this movie isn't just entertainment. It's a warning that we might have ignored for too long. The journey from page to screen began with George Orwell's final novel, published in 1949, just 1 year before his death. Orwell, whose real name was Eric Blair, wrote this dystopian masterpiece as a direct response to the totalitarian regimes he witnessed rising to power in the 20th century. The book became an instant classic, introducing terms like Big Brother, thought police, and doublethink into our everyday vocabulary. Fast forward to 1984, the very year Orwell chose for his fictional nightmare, and filmmaker Michael Radford decided it was time to bring this vision to the big screen. Radford, who also wrote the screenplay, faced the monumental task of condensing Orwell's complex philosophical novel into a compelling visual narrative. The timing was perfect, as the actual year 1984 brought renewed interest in Orwell's prophetic work. The film starred John Hurt as Winston Smith, the protagonist whose quiet rebellion against the totalitarian state drives the entire story. Hurt's gaunt appearance and weary eyes perfectly captured Winston's internal struggle against an oppressive system that controls every aspect of human existence. Opposite him, Susanna Hamilton portrayed Julia, Winston's forbidden love interest, whose relationship with him becomes both salvation and ultimate destruction. But perhaps the most chilling performance came from Richard Burton in his final film role before his death. Burton played O'Brien, the inner party member who represents the seductive yet terrifying face of absolute power. His portrayal was so convincing that audiences could feel the intellectual superiority and cold calculation behind every word. The supporting cast included Cyril Cusack as the elderly antique shop owner who becomes central to Winston's downfall, and Gregor Fisher as Parsons, Winston's neighbor whose blind loyalty to the party demonstrates how effectively the system has broken human nature itself. Now let's explore the plot that has haunted readers and viewers for decades. The story unfolds in Oceania, one of 3 superstates constantly at war with each other. Winston Smith works at the Ministry of Truth, where his job involves rewriting historical documents to match the party's current version of reality. The irony is devastating. The Ministry of Truth deals in lies. The Ministry of Love handles torture, and the Ministry of Peace wages war. Winston lives under the constant surveillance of telescreens and the ever-present threat of the thought police, who can detect and punish even mental rebellion against Big Brother, the mysterious leader whose face appears on posters everywhere with the caption "Cheese." Big Brother is watching you. The turning point comes when Winston begins a forbidden love affair with Julia, a fellow party member who secretly rebels against the system. Their relationship represents the last vestige of human connection in a world designed to eliminate all personal bonds except loyalty to the party. They meet in secret, believing they've found a sanctuary where they can express their true selves. Their sanctuary turns out to be an illusion. The antique shop where they conduct their affair is actually a trap set by the thought police. Even more devastating, O'Brien, whom Winston believed to be a fellow rebel, reveals himself as a loyal party member who has been monitoring Winston's thought crimes all along. The final act takes place in the Ministry of Love, where Winston undergoes systematic torture and psychological breaking. O'Brien doesn't just want Winston's compliance. He wants to fundamentally change how Winston thinks and feels. The famous Room 101, where prisoners face their worst fears, becomes the setting for Winston's ultimate betrayal of everything he once held dear. The film's climax occurs when Winston, faced with his greatest terror, rats, betrays Julia by screaming for them to torture her instead of him. This moment represents the complete destruction of human love and loyalty, exactly what the party intended. The movie ends with Winston, now completely broken, sitting in a cafe with tears streaming down his face as he realizes he truly loves Big Brother. The final shot shows his transformation is complete. He has become exactly what the party wanted him to become. But what does this nightmare really mean? Orwell wrote this story as a warning about the dangers of totalitarianism, but its relevance extends far beyond any single political system. The real meaning lies in how power corrupts not just those who wield it, but the very nature of truth itself. The concept of doublethink, simultaneously holding two contradictory beliefs, reflects how authoritarian systems manipulate reality. When the party declares that 2 plus 2 equals 5, it's not about mathematics. It's about forcing people to abandon their ability to think independently. Once citizens accept obvious lies as truth, they've surrendered their capacity for resistance. The surveillance state depicted in the film serves as a warning about privacy and government overreach. With telescreens monitoring every action and the thought police detecting mental rebellion, Orwell created a world where privacy doesn't exist. Today's debates about digital surveillance, data collection, and artificial intelligence make these concerns incredibly relevant. The manipulation of history and language represents perhaps the most insidious form of control. By constantly rewriting the past and gradually eliminating words from the language, the party doesn't just control what people can say, it controls what they can think. Without words to express dissent, rebellion becomes literally unthinkable. The relationship between Winston and Julia illustrates how totalitarian systems attack human connection itself. Personal relationships threaten the state because they create loyalty to something other than the party. By destroying love, friendship, and family bonds, the system ensures that all emotional energy flows toward Big Brother. The film's production design reinforces these themes brilliantly. The gray, decaying cityscape reflects a world where human creativity and beauty have been systematically eliminated. The contrast between the party's propaganda and the actual living conditions shows how rhetoric can mask reality. Perhaps most frighteningly, the story demonstrates how people can be made to participate in their own oppression. Winston doesn't just submit to the party, he genuinely comes to love Big Brother. This transformation shows how systematic psychological manipulation can reshape human nature itself. The 1984 film adaptation succeeded in translating Orwell's literary masterpiece into a visual experience that captures both the surface horror and deeper philosophical implications. Michael Radford's direction emphasizes the mundane brutality of totalitarian life, while the performances ground the abstract concepts in human emotion. This movie remains essential viewing because it forces us to confront uncomfortable questions about power, truth, and human nature. In our current age of information warfare, surveillance technology, and political polarization, Orwell's warnings feel less like fiction and more like prophecy. The ultimate message of 1984 isn't despair, it's vigilance. By understanding how freedom can be lost, we can better protect it. The film serves as a reminder that the price of liberty is indeed eternal watchfulness, not just against external enemies, but against the subtle erosion of truth and individual thought itself. This movie had such a great case of characters with superb acting, but the message within the book is so real. We must do better with how we treat one another. Big Brother, hatred, and mistreatment should be things left in our pasts. Please let me know in the comments if you've seen this film or another rendition, and thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next movie.